Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB, Zack Brown, and with me, as always, former 410 crew chief and mechanic Jeff Brown joins the show. Once again, Dad, we are finally got races this week, cars on the track. Even if it is the controversial clash at the Coliseum, it's still some racing, and we got some engines going to be revving up, even if they only go 75 miles an hour. And have some fun, go through that stuff. We got another top five list to go through. What top five tracks we want to see host the clash, other than Daytona, of course, if they insist on going somewhere else, and another trivia question for you too. So hope you're ready for that. Clash of the Coliseum, Los Angeles, and it's on Sunday night.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a while since we had racing of the finale, but it hasn't been all that long. But it'd be nice to see cars running again. Like I said, even though it's out in California, here the engines rev, except for the pace car. That's going to be electric this time, which is stupid. But hey, whatever.
Yeah, and we mentioned that. I guess it's kind of a neat show, especially for the crowd that you might get at Los Angeles event out there. And they're like, oh, yeah, look at that. NASCAR's being green. That's fun. And obviously they have, I guess, more fuel-efficient-ish fuel that goes in the cars than they have traditionally a long time ago. So they've kind of come a long way with all that. Well, whether they say that or not, I don't know how much truth is it behind it. But it's got a green circle where the gas can go, so at least it looks like they're trying.
Yeah, I think it's E15 where it's 15% ethanol, which does make good power. It just you actually use more fuel with the more ethanol you put in it. You have to run it richer.
Well, talk about the Clash, and for people that don't know what the Clash at the Coliseum is now, what does NASCAR do every single year for this is the third year doing it, and how does it differ from years past?
Well, you take the LA Coliseum, famous for Olympic Games, football games, the whole deal, and they build a asphalt racetrack on the inside of it. It's somewhere around, I guess it's got to be somewhere around a quarter mile, give or take a little bit. It's just, I like the idea of the Clash. I just don't really like the format. It's going to be short track racing, so you're going to have your heat races determine your starting position. Then you're going to have a last chance qualifier, and there are just too many cars on that small of a track, in my opinion. It's going to be a total crapshoot. Could be very easily get into a crash, tear up a car. NASCAR, they always want to try to save money, yet they're making the teams go, 3,000 miles across the country to go race, and then next week they're going to be in Daytona. Yep. So it seems kind of, I get it. They want to have something out in California. I just don't necessarily agree with how they're doing this. And it's also going to be late on Sunday night when the feature is. It's people got to work the next day, and they're not going to stay up to watch this kind of a race.
No, it's different when you have an iconic track like Daytona, as big of a track that is. It's a real big spectacle. But you're hosting it in a very traditional anti-NASCAR city. It just doesn't appeal to anybody out there. And you're doing it at a work night. The heats, they're 25 laps each. You got 4 heats, I believe. Yes, 4 heats are back-to-back on Saturday night. They're short, 25 laps, so that'll go by very quick. They're actually scheduled to be 15 minutes apart. I don't think the caution laps count, and that's including the feature race as well. 23 cars will make the feature event. 22, and then whoever ends up being the highest in points that didn't qualify will make it. Ryan Blaney obviously is locked in no matter what because he is the champion, so for whatever reason, if he has runs into issues, he's going to lock himself in the event. Last 2 winners, Joey Logano won the very first race at the Coliseum, which not really surprising because Joey Logano seems to come through on the first-time things, on the first championship in that new generation car. And Martin Truex Jr. Kickstarted his really, really good year last year with a win at the Coliseum, kind of a bounce-back year. So it really could have a lot of momentum builder from this at the very least. You saw the confidence that Truex had that seemed to have lost the year before. He got his swagger back, raced with confidence. The team raced with confidence, and they knocked out a bunch of wins and was the championship favorite, obviously, and the regular season champion. So, I mean, there's this could at the very least be a big momentum builder for any of the teams and kind of knock off some rust too before Daytona.
Yeah, for sure. It could also be the start of having another team or several teams pissed off at you for aggressive. I mean, it's first race of the year. There's going to be bumping and banging, and even though there's no points, no anything else, but you could still make somebody mad going into the season. Probably not going to have any kind of retaliation at Daytona. That's just too big, too fast. Yeah. But you get to these shorter tracks, drivers don't forget. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't really matter what they're racing for, what the purse is. It's, first of all, they're racers. They want to win no matter what the race is. And that just shows how much of competitors they are. I don't even know what the payout is. I didn't even see what they released it for this year. It's nothing near what the Daytona 500 pays, obviously. And the Clash has obviously evolved over the years. Before, whatever it used to be called, the Shootout, or even before that, back in the 80s when they started it, used to be only 20 laps at Daytona, and then they kind of grew from that. In 2001, it went to a 70-lap event, and then went to 75 at Daytona. And that's pretty much where they stuck for the longest time. Then they decided to go to LA, like we've mentioned. But we'll see. It's a big spectacle. It is pretty cool seeing the LA Coliseum, the torch lit and everything. So that's pretty cool, kind of iconic how old that place is and all the events that it hosts. But hopefully they'll go back on the East Coast to make it more practical, especially for these small town teams that are one-car teams. It costs a lot for them to go across the country. So they have that one car, and if they have an issue, those are the ones where the tempers are going to flare.
Well, I think some of the getting away from Daytona is basically there's a pretty good chance you're going to destroy a car in this race. And, it's just these cars anymore to put on a short race at Daytona just really, I don't think they're suited well enough for it. There's the pack racing's too tight and it's too hard to pass. You could get somebody going out there and, lead most of the race and kind of stink it up. So I kind of get wanting to move away from Daytona, but we'll talk about a little later where we think there could be some other places they could run. But traditionalists, you want to see it the week before the Daytona 500.
Well, actually, that kind of does transition nicely to our top 5 this week. So let's kind of recap the top 5 last week. And it sparked a lot of controversy and a lot of debate, which I'm all about. That's what it's all about. That's how you get a lot of viewership. And it's fun for everybody to debate on what their own opinions are. I've said it, and you've said it too. We kind of look at what the level of competition is in NASCAR, how it's grown over the years, and how hard it is to win these days as it was back in the day. Everybody's equipment's about the same now, so it takes a better driver to win the races now. And again, it pissed a lot of people off that I put Jimmy Johnson in front of Dale Earnhardt. And that goes to my biggest thing was 5 championships in a row. And obviously, the one person we left off, David Pearson, that did not make people happy that we left him off, which it's fine, it's okay. Call us idiots, call us whatever you want. But we look at everything. It's hard to pick a top 5. It really is. And you can debate it till the end of the earth. It's just like how you're picking the best all-time NFL player, not just quarterback. You go ahead and pick that. It's impossible. So it's just so many different eras. Yeah,
you're not going to make everybody happy. Yeah, and for those who are mad, I did have David Pearson as my honorable mention.
Well, I appreciate everybody's input. Somebody did mention Bill Elliott. That doesn't even crack the top 5 for me. Not even a thought of that. Just not the amount of championships you would need to just elevate you into that category. But that being said, top 5 this week, and we mentioned it last week. We are doing our top 5 list where we want to see the Clash go. whether they are current NASCAR tracks or not currently NASCAR tracks. This is kind of giving a little foreshadowing for our list. I don't know what yours is, but mine's got a couple NASCAR tracks and a couple tracks that they don't necessarily race at, and they may come back eventually to, and this will be a perfect opportunity for that. So, Dad, I went first last week. You go first this week. Your top 5, number 5 on up for your list where you want to see the Clash go.
All right, now some of mine, you would not want to run the Clash in February because everything's going to be frozen. But for number 5, I have Myrtle Beach Speedway. Long-time NASCAR Busch Series track. The Earnhardts race there a ton. Short track racing. I'm not even sure if the track's still there anymore.
It's not. It's in iRacing.
They still have their website up, so I don't know. But number 4, let's bring it down to Florida. I got New Smyrna Beach Speedway. Another short track. NASCAR. It might be NASCAR sanctioned racing, but it's not really. I was there one time. It was kind of fun seeing all the different class of the asphalt cars running.
I think they raced a SRX race there, if I'm not mistaken.
Did they do SRX at New Smyrna?
I think they did, or they had plans to do it, one of the two. And I know the modified series races there too, and they have a bunch of local series race there.
Yeah, it's a nice track. It could it's literally just down the road from Daytona, so that would be kind of a neat thing. Keep them in the area. Number 3, I have whatever it's called now. I call it IRP, Indianapolis Raceway Park.
I thought about that one. I did think about that one. It'd be a little chilly in February in Indiana, that Midwest.
That's what I said. You're not going. They're getting colder as I'm going up the list here. But they used to run the Xfinity Series or Busch Series, whatever there, and that was always a great race.
Trucks have a phenomenal race there too.
Yeah, it's a racy track. I mean, I think that'd be a good one. Number 2, I got the Milwaukee Mile.
I thought about that one too. Dang, you are getting really cold. Why don't you go to the
Very
Arctic?
flat. You're definitely not going to want to be up there in
No.
in February, but be something different. It's a perfect oval, completely flat.
I'd love to see them come back to the Milwaukee Mile at some point as well. Indy cars, they put on a hell of a race there.
Yeah, I don't know how these cars would actually handle with that, with being no banking, but hey, I'd like to see it once.
They race in New Hampshire.
True. And number 1, Rockingham, North Carolina.
All right.
Bring back the Rock.
That would be awesome, and I would want them to repurpose the surface, not repave it. Dig it up, put it back down, and still have some tire wear because it's that's what it was known for, is to dig into those tires, and that's what made it a lot of fun. Yeah, that's a really, really interesting list. A couple of mine are going off the wall, so let me just get my handy dandy notepad right here, and let's go through my top 5. So, first couple, number 5 and 4 are current NASCAR tracks that they have, and it's kind of a realistic thing that they could do it at in February, especially, unless I would go and then it would snow. And the first race, why not start the year where you finish the year? Phoenix is my number 5. I think it's a smaller track, and if you had some tempers flare in the championship race, you could take it out on a non-points race at Phoenix. And,
true. It's usually a good race out in Phoenix.
Yeah, and these cars especially, it's really good. And figure out how you want to race the Clash, how many laps you want to do it. It'd probably be like 100 laps or something. And I think you could have a pretty good crowd too. It's a great city, and it's a great revenue builder. That's why NASCAR keeps bringing the championship back there. The next one would be a really good track as well. It's out west to Las Vegas. Las Vegas, I think it's a really good race year in, year out. One of the better mile-and-a-half tracks that you'll see, especially with these cars. It's Vegas, what not to like? I mean, go out there and gamble a little bit. They've had the award shows out there before. Have some fun in Vegas at the Clash, and do some betting while you're racing and try to gamble and get the win for the Clash start if you're right. Now we're moving towards the East Coast, and yes, you're going to have some cold stuff, but hey, Lincoln Speedway is about to race a race in Pennsylvania, and so if they can do it in the cold up there year in year out, why can't NASCAR just do it some in the cold? So and they have the technology to make sure the tracks are fine. So my next one is Rockingham, so that's something we have in common. Not the number one for me, and you'll see why. What's not to like about Rockingham? You bring it back to North Carolina, bring it back to where everything began in that area. Not far for these teams to travel, and it's still on the East Coast. They can head down to Daytona, no problem. The next week, the next one will be very interesting. Go back on the dirt at Eldora in the Cup races.
Nice.
And that will be a perfect experiment to see what kind of crowds get drawn here. And it would not be the biggest crowd. I can almost guarantee that because of what they sold last year with the Eldora Million and the Kings Royal that week. But I'll be very intrigued how these cars would handle an actual legitimate dirt track. That would be very cool to see. Cold, yes, damn cold. But again, kind of bouncing off, Lincoln Speedway does it. It's going to be about the same weather, and NASCAR has the capability to make sure the snow and everything would be off the track. And number one for me is Nashville Fairgrounds. Good experimental type.
I was considering that one too.
A good experimental type opportunity that NASCAR could have. Nashville, a phenomenal city. I thought about the Super Speedway, putting that on there too, because that's always a great race too. But put it somewhere where they used to go. You don't have a huge field. 23 will be a perfect amount for Nashville Fairgrounds, and I think you would see really good races. And it's kind of how they experimented with North Wilkesboro this past year, and they brought it back again for the All-Star race. Start experimenting with these tracks and bringing them back, because you're going to get crowds, you're going to sell out, and it's going to produce revenue. I can guarantee it. And Nashville, very big city. They could accompany that everybody that you need, all the fans. I think it's a no-brainer there. So yeah, there goes into our top 5 of the Clash. So that's the top 5 on that. Next week's top 5, get ready for it, drum roll. The top 5 most iconic Daytona 500s.
Oh wow, that's going to take a little research on that one.
Yes, and yeah, so look, everybody, if you want to drop in the comments what the top 5 is in your mind for the most iconic Daytona 500s, definitely let us know. We always like to see what other people are thinking. And yeah, I've got some in mind, and this is iconic for us.
I got a couple right off the bat,
and this is iconic for us. And most of mine are going to be the ones I've lived through, and the ones that have always stuck in my memory. So yeah, that's what we're talking about there. So yep, top 5 Clash tracks, and I think we can start actually previewing the races coming up.
Sorry for the interruption, guys, but I got to give a shout out to our sponsor and partner, BetStamp. Sports betting has rapidly risen in popularity, and I want to connect you all with an opportunity to get started and get ahead. Having multiple sportsbook accounts is the simplest way to maximize your profits, and there's never been a better time to sign up than now. When you visit my page, signupexpert.com/ZB, you'll be connected to all the sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique benefits. All these sportsbooks have valuable sign-up offers for new users, and when you register through my link, you'll be automatically receive the top offer at each one. When you use multiple sportsbooks, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful sports betting. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support this brand, please consider signing up for your next sports book at signupexpert.com/ZB. Back to the show.
All right, this is the first race of the year that we get to preview and actually give picks. So tell me what you're looking at going into the Clash, a couple of drivers to keep your eye on, and what are you thinking, if this will be a good race or not?
I think it's going to be a crapshoot. I think for the most of the race, I think you're going to see better racing in the heat races. You're going to get the guys that are battling for the final transfer spots. I think that's going to be the most exciting parts of the whole race weekend, to be quite honest with me. But I'm looking at the short track guys that are generally, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, dirt track guys. Martin Truex Jr. is a good short track racer. Denny Hamlin's. I think those guys you're going to see them work their way to the top. It just, one of those things. It's hard to keep those drivers and those teams down. They may have had a slightly disappointing at the end of the year. I think you're going to see a few guys try to redeem themselves for maybe a little lackluster finish at Phoenix.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those, and I mentioned it with Martin Truex last year, getting that win. I think that really helped him have the momentum to carry it out throughout the year. Wasn't able to finish the job to get a second championship, but just what a turnaround it was from the year before. So this is a clean slate. This is a whole new season. This can mark what you're going to do throughout the year. Now, if a small team wins that kind of doesn't usually win, that's probably an outlier, kind of like how Daytona is when random teams will win Daytona 500. Not necessarily will mean that. But if a bigger team wins, and there's kind of been a down year the year before, look out for that driver and that team to have a very good year.
Yeah, for sure. Get the confidence built up right off the bat. Go into Daytona, which, anyone can win that race. So it's definitely a morale booster right off the start for the whole entire team.
Well,
the worst thing you want to do is drive back and forth, 3,000 and some miles each way, go out there, crash, have a bad race, don't run good, and then everybody's, down on themselves, and you got to get ready for the biggest race of the season.
Well, this is the shortest pick'em week, I guess you could say. We will have a lot more racing starting next week. So let's go ahead and get into it, Dad. Who's your pick to win the third annual, hopefully it's not annual anymore, Clash at the Coliseum?
Well, I'm going to stick with Joe Gibbs Racing, and I'm going to pick Christopher Bell this year.
Well, I'm going the same team as you, but not the same driver. Another Joe Gibbs Racing driver. Has a lot of success, especially at the beginning of the year. Great Martinsville racer, and really good Daytona 500 racer too. But Denny Hamlin is my pick to win the Clash this year.
Yeah, very possible that Joe Gibbs seems to go all out for this race.
Now, as is tradition, did Mom give a pick to you?
No, she didn't. She didn't pick this one.
I bet she would pick Larson or somebody like that, or something.
Yeah,
so.
She'd be like, I don't know.
Well, make sure she remembers for the 500. We all look forward to that pick, what she wants to throw in there. So, trivia time once again, Dad. Get that brain thinking once again. This is actually a really interesting one that I came across. So, there have been back since I think the 80s, maybe the late 70s, the Clash or Shootout, whatever you want to call it, that's been going on. Traditionally, it's been at Daytona. Daytona usually was almost like a little heat race that they used to have, a little 20-lap race, kind of get everybody back into the saddle. Early 2000s moved to a 75-lap race at Daytona, and then obviously in 2022 they went to the Clash at the Coliseum. Out of all those races, there have only been 4 drivers, and one driver's done this twice. 4 drivers have won. Sorry, 5 drivers. My bad. 5 drivers have won the Clash and the Daytona 500 in a single year, back to back.
Oh, wow.
So, who are those drivers?
Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott, 1989 did it.
Yeah, that's when they were really.
And there's one driver that's done it twice.
How about Darrell Waltrip?
Nope.
Yeah, he only won the Daytona 500 one time. Let's see. Wow, that's tough.
There's only one driver on it that is a current driver.
Denny Hamlin?
Denny Hamlin's on it in 2016. He won the Clash and won the Daytona 500.
Did Jimmy Johnson do it?
Nope.
Okay.
Start thinking going kind of little bit more back.
Let's go with Richard Petty.
Nope.
Wow. Cale Yarborough.
No. All right, so I'll give you a hint for the one that's done it twice. He's the son of a NASCAR Hall of Famer who also was in the booth quite a bit.
Oh, Dale Jarrett?
Dale Jarrett. He's done it twice in 1996 and 2000. Wow, I didn't think you'd get it from that hint. All right. And the last one, you got to go back a little ways.
Let's see. Did I say Cale Yarborough?
You did. It's not him.
Okay.
Say family. He's got a lot of families been in NASCAR.
Bobby Allison?
Bobby Allison in 1982 won
That's
the Clash.
probably the last one I figured would have probably won both of them.
Yeah, the Clash and the Daytona 500. So, yeah. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 drivers. I was like, there's 6 on here. I had to do math and stuff because one was a double. So, yeah. So, it doesn't happen. It does not happen that you win the Clash. And now, again, the Clash is completely different now. It's a completely different racetrack. So, it's not really holding as strong as what it used to when it's literally Daytona and then it's Daytona next week again. But out of the years that they've done it for 4 decades now, there's only been 5 drivers. So something to look at. And so kind of saying if you win the Clash, you're probably not going Daytona 500. So Larson, you can try to suck.
Yeah.
So, little interesting fact there. So I think that will about wrap it up today, Dad. And we will look forward to reviewing what happened in the Clash, and guess what, everybody? Dirt Track's back next week. World of Outlaws are back at Volusia next week, so we'll be previewing that.
From tonight, I think.
Not Outlaws. I think it's just regular sprint cars, and there's some Outlaw drivers racing it. It's almost like a warm-up. It's not an Outlaw sanctioned race. The first Outlaw sanctioned race is next week. Now, some late models are racing there, though.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, till next week, Dad, remember the top 5 most iconic Daytona 500s. Make sure you guys comment down below, like anywhere you get your podcast, share it, follow on all social media platforms. We will see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.